we are not alone. What's the agenda from those people who want to control everything we do?
There will come a time where they'll come out of their smoky boardrooms and they're going to have to initiate this New World Order agenda.
World-renowned David Icke talks just like you.
How do a relative handful of people control the direction of the world with a population currently of 7.7 billion? Meet the secret societies we do know about, but we know their names.
We're really going into this brave new world, George, where we don't know what's going to happen.
Well, welcome back to Beyond Belief. George Norrie here with you, and Brad Olson is with us. He's an author and public speaker. He's been on the program before, but he's got a brand new book out called Beyond Esoteric, Escaping Prison Planet. Brad, welcome back to Beyond Belief.
Hey, George, it's always great to be back and wonderful to see you and have this opportunity to talk to you about my new book.
What an interesting title, Beyond Esoteric Prison Planet. Tell me about that.
Well, it's the third in the esoteric series. It started with modern esoteric, future esoteric, and now beyond esoteric. And I came up with that name because all the things that are happening in the world today, no 19th century occultist could imagine this transhumanist and many other things that are happening in the world. But at the same time, the disclosure of new things from the Pentagon and new breakthroughs with our health. So it's quite an exciting time to be alive. And Escaping Prison Planet is just a subtitle for how we're waking up to this control agenda that's had an iron grip on humanity for many, many years.
You do a little work on Edward Bernays.
I do.
Wasn't he the guy who came up with the public relations concept and everything else?
That's right. Start my introduction with some quotes from Bernays. And he believed that we can't handle the truth, and therefore they should smooth it over with just a gloss of not giving us the full truth about everything.
Well, when you talk about control on the Gaia program, Escape the Matrix, world-renowned David Icke talks just like you.
How do a relative handful of people control the direction of the world with a population currently of 7.7 billion? And there had to be a structure that allowed that to happen. And also that structure had to be such that the vast, overwhelming majority of people who were playing a part in that control had no idea that's what they were doing. And it turns out there is just such a structure. You can use the symbolism, and it's almost not symbolism. It's how it is structured. But you can use the symbolism of the spider's web to understand how the few control the many. Imagine a spider in the center of the web. And this spider, for those that have watched other programs in this series, is that non-human force, that archontic force that I've been talking about. And then you come in to the human world with the strands in the web immediately around the spider. These strands are the most exclusive secret societies. Some of them don't even have names, which makes them harder to identify and track. And within that exclusive group of secret societies are those in the human realm who absolutely know A, how all this works, and B, what the end game is and what the manipulation is taking humanity towards. And then you come further out from the spider, and then you start to meet the secret societies we do know about. I mean, we know about their existence. We don't know about what their inner circle is deciding, but we know their names. Things like the Freemasons, the Knights of Malta, the Knights Templar, Opus Dei, the inner circle of the Jesuit order, and so on and so forth. And that's important. I'll emphasize this more in a second. when I talk about secret societies, I'm not saying that everybody in that secret society is manipulating the world. That would be ridiculous. So many people would know, it would get out widely into the public arena. These are compartmentalized structures where the few at the top, the very few at the top, are the only ones that know actually what the game really is. Everyone else only knows a part of it.
You like him.
I like David Icke. He and I are big picture people. We look at the whole entirety of the world and many of the manipulations going on. I went and saw David Icke for 12 and a half hours when he came through the Bay Area a couple of years ago.
12 and a half hours?
Of him speaking the whole time. It's amazing.
And everybody was glued to him?
Nobody left. Everybody was there the whole time. And back then, before a lot of the things that are happening in the world today, he would always say, there will come a time where they'll come out of their smoky boardrooms and they're going to have to initiate this New World Order agenda. And I think we're seeing that happening right now in real time.
He was way ahead of his time, too.
He really was. And I think he'll be remembered favorably in history.
Absolutely. Are you concerned that we may not pull out of this?
We do walk the very fine line along a razor's edge where we could flip one way, talk about the timelines. Timeline 2 would be a disaster for the world. It would lock us down into this prison planet, much harsher than anything we can imagine. Or we could free our minds, as David Icke wrote in one of his books, that we can come to the conclusion that we've been manipulated and rise up peacefully, change this program, and perhaps this current agenda is just a speed bump in the road. Then we could reach a golden age, George, and I hope we're alive to see it, because I think it's very close to being within our grasp.
Can we do it in a nonviolent way?
We have to. There has to be no other way. The good news is the Great Awakening is occurring. People are waking up to this in droves. When I came out with the first in my esoteric series almost 10 years ago, it was a tough sell. It was much harder to have this conversation with people 10 years ago than it is now.
Which brings up something in your book about the embargo.
Right.
You believe the embargo is being shredded away.
Well, that's right. And our good friend Stephen Bassett coined the term the truth embargo.
Yes, he did.
And he is the one and only lobbyist in Washington, D.C. on behalf of disclosure and
truth.
UFO truth. That's right. So he's introduced me in some of my talks, and we've established a very nice friendship, as I know you have too. He's a very genuine person. And the embargo encompasses not just UFO and ET truth, but also our human origins, also the control mechanism that's coming down on us. One of the chapters in my new book, Beyond Esoteric, is called Being Aware of Predatory Species. Mm-hmm. We have to look at the big picture here. We have to see that there could be predatory species that have a taste for humans, for example. And I know this is a very dark subject, and some people may not want to go this way, but I think it has to be said if that's the way it's going.
You look into things that look even strange and bizarre. You've stumbled across old giants. Tell me about that.
Well, this is part of the big picture here. This is the true long-range history of Earth, that there have been antediluvian civilizations on this planet, and there have been giants that have walked this earth. It's talked about in the Old Testament and many old texts, cuneiform texts of the Sumerians as well.
The Ubermind. When we're not talking about the car company.
No.
What is that?
So that's a term I use for the final chapter in Beyond Esoteric, and that includes what we're going through right now, a stage, even a chrysalis moment in humanity into human 2.0. I just think there's some things that are being a bit too evasive into our privacy and into our personal lives. We don't need our phone spying on us all the time.
Right.
Or tracking our...
telling us where we are and everything else.
I mean, it's
great.
great.
Do you notice on every app, do you give permission for your location?
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
Right.
But it's everywhere.
And sometimes you have to go well into the menu to turn this stuff off. that they track you automatically when AI starts creeping into our lives as well. And this is another thing I think we need to take pause and consider if this is really good or necessary for moving on as a human race.
Richard Dolan, he's a researcher, was on the Gaia program Deep Space, and he talks about different human-computer relationships that he's convinced could happen in the future.
What I think we can say is that we're seeing a lot of technologies coalescing to cause a speeding up of this process. So I'm very sympathetic to the idea that this is going to happen very suddenly without our warning. We will probably be caught off guard by it. And, it's interesting to talk about the phrase singularity in this context. So AI people call this the singularity for a very definite reason. They liken it to the physics of a black hole. At the center of a black hole, you have the singularity, essentially a point of virtual infinite density and infinite gravitational power. And in that type of crazy physics, all of the physics that we have don't seem to apply. We don't know how to predict things at the singularity. And this is what AI theorists are saying. When computing intelligence exceeds our own, we human beings will not have the ability to predict the trajectory of our civilization. We're basically going to be losing control over this car that we think we're driving. And it's now the dominant intelligence will be beyond us. That's why it's a singularity. We can't really predict any of this.
Who knows? But I have a feeling it's going to happen.
And he mentioned going beyond. We're on Beyond Belief. My book is Beyond Esoteric, and this is what it's all about. We're really going into this brave new world, George, where we don't know what's going to happen.
If you like this video and you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out the next video on our channel.